Attempting to understand the intricacies of copywriting our work can be daunting due to the myriad rules, exceptions, and if-then scenarios. One of the key areas to U.S. copywriting is the protection term. This bowl of regulatory spaghetti looks a bit like this, but we can simplify it a bit to make it look like this. However, this overview chart gives each category a distinct lane. Let's take a brief look at the 8 main categories and give examples of works that fall under each. Sound recordings published before 1923, public domain. In 1920, Mamie Smith released Crazy Blues. It's considered the first blues hit record, and Mamie Smith is credited as the first black blues recording artist. Her success opened up the race market, which resulted in major record companies producing records specifically for black consumers. In 1919, George Gershwin and Irving Caesar enlisted Al Jolson to deliver the singing performance for their song Swanee. The song was Gershwin's first hit and his career best, biggest-selling record. Sound recordings published between 1923 and 1946, protected for 100 years from publication. In 1939, Harold Arlen and Yip Harburg created Over the Rainbow. The iconic song was sung by Judy Garland in her starring role as Dorothy Gale in the fantasy adventure film The Wizard of Oz. In 1939, Blind Boy Fuller, who gained popularity playing around tobacco warehouses in Durham, North Carolina, released Big Leg Woman Gets My Pay. His direct and explicit lyrics and formidable finger-picking style made him one of the most popular Piedmont blues musicians. Published before 1924, public domain. In 1897, Bram Stoker published what is arguably the most impactful horror novel of all time, with Dracula. It was a broad-spectrum, meaty stew of sexuality, race, death, incest, religion, gender, science, kink, superstition, politics, disease, corruption, and economics. In 1532, Niccolo Machiavelli's The Prince was published. It's one of history's most popular works on strategy, diplomacy, politics, and philosophy. It delivers reality-based instructions on how to seize power and how to keep it. Published between 1924 and 1963. Still copyrighted if renewed, otherwise public domain. In 1924, A. Mine and E. H. Shepard created Edward Bear, who by 1926 was known as Winnie the Pooh. The well-known children's character remains popular worldwide, particularly in the UK. Released in 1946, It's a Wonderful Life became a holiday film classic. However, in 1974, a clerical mistake by Republic Pictures resulted in a failure to renew the copyright, which placed the film firmly in the public domain. After much legal wrangling, Republic Pictures eventually regained copyright control of the film in 1990. Published after 1977. Protected for the life of the author plus 70 years. In 2010, Michael Lewis released The Big Short, Inside the Doomsday Machine. This non-fiction book details the factors that led up to the U.S. housing bubble in the 2000s, a major catalyst for the 2008 financial crisis and Great Recession. The book was licensed for the film The Big Short, whose copyright year is 2015. In 1997, J.K. Rowling published Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the first book in the Harry Potter series. There are several books in the immensely popular series with copyright dates ranging from 1997 to 2007. Works made for hire, protected for 95 years from publication or 120 years from creation, whichever is shorter. In 1938, Ruth Wakefield, widely attributed as the inventor of the chocolate chip cookie, included the recipe in her book, Toll House Tried and True Recipes. In 1939, Nestle was given the rights to use the recipe and the Toll House name. So it was not strictly made for hire, but ownership was transferred in a similar fashion. In 1986, Ken Schuldman and Michael Levine created the Gimme a Break jingle for the DDB advertising agency. Although used by Nestle-owned Kit Kat, I could not find definitive proof of who owns the jingle copyright today. Kit Kat production is country dependent. It's handled collectively by the Hershey Division H.B. Reese Candy Company for the U.S. market and by Nestle for the rest of the world. Joint works. Protected for 70 years after the last surviving author's death. In 1978, Funkadelic released their 10th studio album, One Nation Under a Groove. Although formed and headed by Dr. Funkenstein himself, George Clinton, the group was always more of a loosely undulating collective of creatives rather than a clearly defined unit. Copyright is spread far and wide, with Clinton being the only constant. In 1994, Quentin Tarantino and Roger Avery saw their stories come to life in the film Pulp Fiction. The full copyright ownership of the film and script is unclear and includes potential stakes by Tarantino, Avery, Miramax, various production companies, and contributors. Anonymous or pseudonymous works. Protected for 95 years from publication or 120 years from creation, whichever is shorter. Beowulf is an Old English epic poem whose manuscript is dated between 925 and 1025. The date of the story's actual creation is unknown. It's considered one of the most significant, and from my perspective, entertaining Old English literary works. The collection of Middle Eastern folk tales known as 1001 Nights is attributed to mostly unknown authors and editors. Several additional stories, including Aladdin and the Wonderful Lamp and Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves, were added to the original Arabic collection as late as the 1800s. To wrap up, I hope I was able to provide a little more clarity on how some of the intricacies of the copyright term limits work. Good luck on your next published work, and thanks for watching.